Good morning, evening, or afternoon, everybody. Today we're going to be covering the ultimate preparation guide for your pre-patch launch period. Now, a lot of people kind of are like, is pre-patch worth doing? Is there things you need to do? And absolutely, there are a lot of things that you want to get done and get after and really learn your class, and you can get miles ahead of people that are just going to wait until Pandaria launches. So without further ado, let's talk about these steps that you must do in order to get ahead of everyone in Pandaria. So the very first thing, the moment you log in, the pre-patch is live, classes have changed dramatically. So they have this is the first time we see a little squish as far as abilities, and your talent tree becomes this. So instead of the massive talent tree that you have in Kata, you get this where you just get 3 abilities and you are going to pick them based on the class you are playing. There are ample amounts of guides and resources. I like to use Wowhead's class guides. I think they are well written and give you a good basic understanding of that, so you can just copy that for whatever you plan on doing. That is my plan. However, if you're, obviously, depending where you focus, if you're focusing on challenge mode dungeons, Mythic Plus, stuff like that, you can really start to get into the nitty gritty with that instead of just having like a generic build. But for pre-patch, you will be very overpowered because it's scaled for 90 and you are at 85. So just how stats work and stuff, you will have really good gear. Or if you don't have gear, you will get that. But learn your class. Take the time to really look at that. Your talents. Glyphs change as well. No more primal glyphs. You will just have major glyphs and minor glyphs. Your minor glyphs are super nice. So like Horn of Winter, right? It used to extend the time. Now it just causes a little snow flurry. Resilient Grip. This is actually useful. So when your Death Grip ability fails because the target is immune, its cooldown's reset. So if you mess up your Death Grip, you get another one. This one's pretty good. Your Army of the Dead no longer taunt, which is really useful for a DPS DK. And just stuff like that really is stuff you can do. And then like this, if someone's a Geist instead of a Ghoul, like that's completely useless. Like some of these are useful. Then Corpse Explosion, you just blow up corpses. I don't think it does anything, but it looks cool and they explode. So like there are some that are for fun glyphs, and there are some that actually have use. And a lot of your major glyphs get put into here. So depending on what you had, I had a combination of primal and majors. You can even look on for future guides and figure out which glyphs you want to go. This varies by a class basis, and you're going to want to look that up. And you can even buy them right now before pre-patch is live, because you will save a ton of gold in doing so. Some of them you just simply can't get, and they are MoP glyphs that we will need the MoP professions to get as well. So that kind of sucks. But those are the options, the choices, and stuff you want to do. There are training dummies, so you can go and practice. But a better use of this, I think, is going and gearing up your characters, doing Nightmare, the Twilight Heroic Dungeons right here, the protocol. So that is our next thing we're going to talk about. Now, these Twilight protocols, they will be much simpler on the pre-patch than they are right now. In Kata, they're actually difficult, and the ways that you are going to go about them definitely changes. So I'm going to flip it over to the live server and talk more about that and where you should get your class, your gear, and everything set up. So I'll see you then. Voop. So we are here on the live Kata server to show you this, and I want to break down just sort of how to gear your characters and be ready. If you are using the boost and just playing the boosted character, you don't really need to worry about this. It will help you if you still want to do it, but you don't have to do it because you will be 359 item level. But as we can see here, this character is only 316 eye level, and in order to get into these Twilight dungeons, you need a 353 item level. And what is really OP about that is you can simply just buy it. Whether you want to spend Justice or Valor in order to get it, you don't have to do that. But the best way to sort of gear a character is to go here, bam, cloth. I like to search 85, then take off these for just rares and epics. So we set it to that filter, and then we look at heads. So you want to buy these 377 pieces. So you can get these 377 PvP pieces. You are wasting a stat, but it is really good. And usually there's one angled towards healing that has Spirit on it, and another that is DPS. There's a set for everything, and each slot costs about 100 gold. Doing this will get you to that 353 item level pretty quickly. Now, you can also buy wrists that are 397 or 378. These are the Justice Point BOE wrists, they're about 1,000 gold, so you can spend big on that, as well as feet. So wrists and feet are BOEs that you can buy. As you can see, they cost about 1,000 gold per. So for about 3k, you can gear your character and be ready for those heroic Twilight dungeons. And then also right now, because the Midsummer festival is out, you can do Frostsalute Hoon, and you can get an Icebound Cloak. These cloaks are 403, and they do count towards your item level. You do not have to have the appropriate cloak, because everyone can put on a cloak. So this is the tanking cloak, but it still boosts my eye level by 6 points, because my current cloak is a 316 piece. So very useful for that, and the cloak that you can get. Then for gearing your characters, so I will show you the vendors in a moment on the PTR, just because they change a lot, but these are going to be your home for gearing any character. And what I would recommend is, I'm going to go to my DK here to show you exactly what I think you should go for and strive for gear. Because of Dragon Soul and their emphasis on making trinkets and weapons special and unique, that makes trinkets and weapons very OP. Even if they're just the LFR versions from these Twilight dungeons, they're still very powerful. So you should go, like if you're a melee DPS that uses two hands, you should go for this sword. The tentacle effect is insane. These trinkets, Bone Link Fetish, insane, causes you to whirlwind. Massive AoE, so you can pull multiple mobs at once and go crazy. Eye of Unmaking, really powerful for strength. And these are the pieces that are hard to replace. So like, yeah, you'll get high eye level pieces of gear, but you probably will use trinkets and your weapon all the way up. As well as you have force set. So set bonuses for tier are really overpowered as well, and a good thing to go with, mainly because of gems and stats and baseline stuff. So I would highly recommend that you get your force set with LFR, and then you go and get your sword and trinkets. And then everything else is kind of whatever. I'd recommend a 378 piece gear as well, like just any epic from Firelands or higher up things. Like, as you can see, this is a Firelands neck. We have just this helm from the end time dungeons and stuff. But all in all, that is the best way to gear your characters, and what I would recommend that you get. You will have 3 weeks to sort of play around, learn your class, and go after it. So these are the tips and tricks to gearing. I will talk about these vendors and how they work on the PTR, as well as the scenarios and dungeons you should queue for in order to blast. But anyway, guys, I will see you at the next segment. Voop. So as far as queuing up for dungeons go to get really awesome gear, you have your Theramore's Fall, which is where the Horde, if you are a Horde player, gets to nuke Theramore and show Jaina what's up. Loktar Ogar, baby. But it gives really good gear, 384 pieces, so if you're interested in that, you can go there and get that. It is a good way to get gear. The other way is to specific queue for the Elemental Rune Protocol for End Time, Hour of Twilight, and Well of Eternity. You have to do them in order, so it's End Time, then Well of Eternity, and Hour of Twilight. The mobs there drop 378 pieces of gear, as well as the quest lines will give you 2 to 3 pieces of gear as well. And it's super easy. It doesn't even use the Elemental Rune Protocol, but it rewards those obsidian fragments as well as points. So it's just essentially normal heroic dungeons, because they were higher tier for the end of the expansion, that give really good catch-up gear. So doing those, as well as the scenario of nuking Theramore, will earn you a ton of gearing options. But that is it for the gear. I just wanted to come back here and show you that. Next, we are going to show you how the Valor Quartermasters and everything works here on the pre-patch. So I'll see you then. Voop. Alrighty, so we are back here on the PTR, and just to show you what happens to sort of currencies, your Valor points become Justice points. So whatever Valor you had got converted to Justice. You can have a maximum of 4,000 Justice, and if you go over that cap with your Justice points, you will get converted to gold. You keep your Obsidian Fragments. I just happen to have 0, and the Obsidian Fragment gear is still here. So like we discussed with the gear and what you should go after, it is still here to do on the pre-patch, making that very, very nice to go. As well as big vendor changes is all of the previous Valor gear is now worth Justice. They're still called those Quartermasters, but you can now buy the 397 pieces with Justice points instead of your Valor if you want to get some of these. Then you have the Conquest of Valor conservation swap, but you cannot earn Valor on the pre-patch. So even though this queue shows you're getting Valor, you will get Justice instead of Valor. It's just one of those small visual things they haven't really fixed. But don't be dismayed by that. There are a lot of things like that that really do that. So like instead of buying the Justice 378 gear, you are absolutely going to want to buy the Valor or the Valor Quartermaster gear here. That is 397. But I just wanted to give you that little currency breakdown to show you all that fun stuff and where you can go. So these two vendors, the Obsidian Fragment Exchange and the Valor Quartermaster, are the two you want to hit up to get your gear if you are partaking in those Twilight ones and getting those key weapons and trinkets that we just talked about in the previous segment. So anyway, next one is going to be the very fun, exciting one that is, it's a key feature of MoP, and that is going to be pet battles. So I will see you then. So everyone's favorite feature of Mists of Pandaria is clearly pet battles, and pet battles are sort of WoW's Pokemon, if you will. It's really interesting. It is a fun thing to do. It is actually great XP for leveling your pet battles, and in order to start pet battles, you need to come right here, smack dab in the middle of Orgrimmar, to find the pet battle trainer. You can actually guard, and they will tell you that. I have no idea where the Stormwind one is, but in order to even participate in that, you have to learn pet battle training. So you need to come here, and you need to say, I want to learn how to pet battle, and then he will also give you that, and you get a pet snake from them if you talk to this orc, and then you can do learning the ropes pet battle. So this is the introduction to pet battling. So I obviously haven't really collected much. I've just sort of done my, I just have pets that I've sort of come across. The one you have up will follow you around, and then you just sort of do a pet battle. So in order to find a pet battle, these are just critters. Pet battles will give you a little pet battle icon in order to do. I am not sure if these are supposed to be pet battles or not. I'd imagine they are, and it's just broken on the PTR, but we will fly out into Durotar and see if there actually are pet battles there. So so pet battles are actually not in the city, and you got to go there. So pretty much every critter has turned into a pet, and you are going to want to do that. So you just pretty much do that quest. You come here and you do a pet battle. So you will want to look for a critter, and as you can see, here is a hare. We cannot pet battle that hare, unfortunately, but we are just going to keep looking, keep searching until we find a pet battleable thing. So right there, you see that? This is a creepy collie. It is a level 2 pet. So if I wanted to do this quest, I would go and fight this level 1 pet. And what's super important about this is if you do all the quests, do this entire pet battle journey, you can get really strong ones. So here on the pre-patch, you're going to want to get your pets to level 20, level 25, because it actually gives you a ton of XP when you battle in Pandaria, and you can get some rare ones that you can sell for a ton of gold. So that is just all the pet battling you could do on the PTR. I will probably dabble in it if there's enough interest and show you that, but for me, I've collected a lot of things. I used to do a lot of collecting, so doing it again on Classic doesn't really interest me too much, but I will walk you through how to get the Pandaren Water Spirit and the full quest line with all that and battling all the pet battle masters. So anyway, that is it for pet battling, and now let's talk about the final thing, and that is gold making. So I'll see you then. So one of the most exciting features for Mists of Pandaria, and it will cause you to be able to make a ton of gold just for the sheer amount of time and ease it saves you, is AoE looting. So obviously we're not going to be making a lot of gold killing harpies here in Durotar, but as you can see, I have killed 3 harpies right here, and they're all glowing with loot, and then I can just click one, and bam, we're able to AoE loot now, and we get all of that. This is super good for one reason and one reason only: farming old heroic dungeons. So some of the best gold farms that people have been doing is stuff like Heroic Botanica out here in Outlands, as well as a few other heroic dungeons are really good. TBC Heroics give a lot of good items, a lot of good gold, and being able to AoE loot them, you will be able to make a ton of money. You can also go to places like Karazhan, and old raids do really well too, that are just just trash heavy, you can get in there and kill them. Raids are a little more dangerous, but if you have any geared tank class, Blood DK is my go-to for gold making. You can also pair it with some professions, but you can really start to make really good gold per hour by going out there, hitting heroics up, and taking advantage of the AoE looting. The other thing that I've covered extensively in other videos is your professions. Make sure your professions are leveled up. I would shoot for 500, but it is important to note that you can level 1 to 600 with just Mists of Pandaria materials. You do not have to go and get the old world materials, but it is something to do for these next 3 weeks, is to make sure whatever profession plan, whatever characters you're going with, will make a ton of gold. The top 3 that I would recommend are Alchemy, Inscription, and Tailoring. Inscription is sort of a gamble, but it is a guaranteed that you can do it. You can do this on any level 80 character. You just make Dark Moon cards and you do your Scroll of Wisdom daily. Tailoring is a lot more work because some of the patterns are RNG, as well as they require you to go to Silken Fields to make the cloth, which requires them to be 85 to get good access to Pandaria. And actually, if you get attacked by a mob, you can defeat it. But you can do it at 80, and you can go there and get summoned or TP'd and walk there. It's just a lot of extra steps if you're not 85. However, it can be rewarding with the Imperial Silk and getting good recipes, and I have already shared my insane plans, so check out that video if you want to see why tailoring is so good. And then Alchemy, obviously, for the Living Steel recipe and going after as much Living Steel as possible. Most of MoP has a lot of daily professions and cooldowns and stuff, and there's usually something super niche and profitable with every single one. I just think Tailoring, Alchemy, and Inscription are the easiest 3 to print a bunch of gold, so I would recommend getting them to 500, and then you can get your free 25 levels just by dabbling in Mists of Pandaria materials. So like whatever the starting MoP material is, it will give you almost essentially 25 free levels, and that is true. Like at 425 you can make Ember Silk Cloth to get to 450. Stuff like that is true for most professions right now. Just the old expansions get overridden by the new expansions, so those last 25 levels you use the newest expansion materials. So anyway guys, that is my tips for gold making and stuff you can do in the pre-patch. This pretty much covers every aspect of the pre-patch. Like I said, the most important things, guys: 4 sets, LFR tier, that will be great enough. Weapons, trinkets. Like weapons and trinkets, because of Dragon Soul, as I said earlier, have such overpowered abilities that will make your leveling so much easier, and you can get very lucky with the dungeons, or you have bad luck mitigation with that. So it's just something to do. Play your class, learn the stuff, and have a really fun time doing that. And you can even start right now, as I showed. But anyway guys, that is it for this video. I truly hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, anything you think I missed, definitely drop it down below, and I'll do my best to get after them. And until next time, I'll see you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Hey you. Yes you. Are you still there? Well, I appreciate you for taking the time to watch this entire video and making it to the end here. If you enjoyed this video, definitely check out the other videos about World of Warcraft listed in these playlists down below. And thank you again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.